G'day guys, and welcome to Vex Plays Star Wars The Old Republic. Today I'm just going to be taking a bit of a look at, well, what I'm doing at the moment actually. Having a little bit of a break from WoW and tanks and warships to do something that's been on my bucket or to-do list for quite a long time. So I'm a returning player to The Old Republic, or SWTOR as people call it. As you can see from my character list here, I tend to suffer level 30 burnout on this game. By the time I get to level 30, as the meta of the game used to be, I'm pretty much had enough of questing, and I'm really starting to sort of just get a bit sick of it. But as the game stands now, the way that I'm playing it, you actually earn enough XP just to do your main class quest on each planet and sort of skip through those to see the storyline, while doing some space missions in between to supplement your XP, and that's actually enough to get you through. So I've logged back in, I'm having another run at it, and here I am. So a little bit of history about the game. When it was launched, BioWare did actually go to the effort of making Australian servers. So, I mean, that was really great for us. We could log on and have sort of pings of 30 or 40 milliseconds, which meant that it was PvP viable. And when you're sort of playing in game or raiding, your latency was never an issue. The game is free to play at the moment. Paying or using some of the in-game currency for premium gets you the usual sort of character unlocks. It allows you to have more slots. Usually you only have 2 slots here that you can play at once. You can buy more bag space, you can buy mounts, all that sort of thing. Now yeah, to the meat and potatoes of any BioWare's game, the questing and storyline. The questing in this game really is good. Everything is voice acted. The stories are really well written, and the biggest drawcard that the game has, I think, are the class stories. Now if you look over on the left here, these panels, these are all the classes that are available in the game, and they've now added this feature so that every time that you get to level 50 or 60, whatever the cap is, and you complete a class storyline, then it'll become lit up and sort of light up this little thingy up here. Now being a completionist, I really love that. And I logged in to have another go to see if I could break this sort of level 30 burnout that I'd been having. And thankfully, with the amount of XP and the ease of the game now, I'm able to sort of run through quickly, do my class story with my companion helping me, and I'm actually feel like I'm going to be able to see all these, so that's where I'm at. One of the other things that this game does really well, and probably better than any other MMO I've ever played, or one of the cooler moments rather, at around about level 20 for each class you'll get access to your spaceship. So before that you do your newbie planet, and then you sort of travel to your next planet via a shuttle. But around about level 20, sorry if that's a spoiler, you do get your own ship, and from that point you can travel around the galaxy. And I've got to say that it is a really cool moment. Like there's hours and hours of lead up and a whole lot of story until you get to that point, but once you get your own ship, let's just say they do a really good job of unveiling it, and you know, I think you'll get a shiver down your spine. Alright, so I'll log in here now and we'll talk about the graphics a little bit. These splash screens are a really good idea. Sort of when you log out and come back, they always just keep track of where you're up to. So if you're not sure, if it's been a long time and you're a returning player, you can read that and just sort of get brought back up to speed. So yeah, the game uses the Hero engine, and I mean it looks fantastic. Some people complain that it's a little bit too cartoony, but I don't think a game has to be hyper realistic in order to be successful. Gameplay is key, graphics are nice, but I quite like the sort of cartoony aesthetic. So just to give you a little bit of a look at this planet, this is Taris. This is the 2nd or 3rd planet you end up on as a Republic player. I'm just going to fly back to the spaceport and pan the camera around a little bit. Some of the environments that you run into in this game are unlike any other MMO you'll ever played. So this planet used to be a Republic homeworld 300 years ago, and it was destroyed by the Sith or some world-breaking disaster. So I mean, just like this, cruising around on my speeder through the sort of hulking remains of this old planet, and seeing the ruins of civilization is really quite cool. It's very singular, and I've just not played any other games where you sort of get to see places like this. There are of course other planets, many other planets. There's ice planets, there's fire planets, there's desert planets. Basically every biome that you can think of. Man, that looks good. I'll just shut up here for a little bit and let you admire the view. So this planet has actually been ravaged by a virus called the Rakghoul Plague, which is sort of a bit like a zombie thing where, you know, if you get attacked or bitten by one of them, you turn into this zombie beast dog thing. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Somewhere up here there's actually the remains of an Empire starship that sort of crashed as well, and you can sort of get in and run through it. There's whole underground areas of this planet as well. But yeah, I love how this looks in the Hero engine. I think it's really good. Alright, we're approaching the spaceport. Guards there having it out with some of the Rakghoul. Alright, so the combat in this game is not unlike World of Warcraft. As you can see, it's a sort of a hotbar game. You target your enemies, you click your buttons, you click them in the right order hopefully to maximise your DPS. Unlike World of Warcraft, which is a bit of a benchmark for this sort of game, enemies do tend to come in groups a lot of the time, and this does vary the combat because in each group you'll have weaker enemies and then you'll get ones with special frames that are like elite mobs. A lot of the time elite mobs are immune to stuns, that sort of thing. Or you'll see here, like I have a grenade attack which does AoE damage to 7 or so enemies, and if the target is a standard or weak enemy, it gets knocked to the ground. Now that won't work on elite or the larger enemies, but just say I'm going into a fight of a couple of enemies, if I lob that at one of the weaker enemies, it'll get knocked down and his DPS gets taken out of the fight. So in each encounter you've got to carefully manage which enemies to crowd control and which order to kill them. Usually it's crowd control the big elite, keep the small ones stunned or knocked down until you finish them off, and then take on the elite guy once all the weaker enemies are dead. The game also has a companion system, so as you see here I've got Corso Riggs. It used to be that each companion could only play a certain way, so you used to have to work quite hard or struggle at first to get the companion that optimally matched with your class. So if you're a healer you might want a DPS, if you're a tank you might want a healer. These days however, every companion can be every class. So you see here, these are the ones that I own so far. Corso Riggs, I can just hit the drop down here and turn him into a tank or damage, whatever I require. I'm a DPS, and for the way that I'm playing, actually pretty much probably for the way everyone plays at the moment, healer would be the best bet. They keep you alive and they also crowd control sort of enemies at random, which is really helpful. Being a smuggler, I will just pop out. I do get a Wookiee companion here. Bye. This is Bodar. Bodar's awesome. Alright, so the game also has dungeons, just like any other MMO. The dungeons are quite varied. They're very story driven, so as you sort of play through they'll unlock story. The first time you play them it's sort of very exciting and it's great to see how they unfold. Once you've done them on repeat for a little while you'll find that players just sort of tend to skip through. And as a bad point, a lot of the more experienced people do get a little upset if you make them sit through cutscenes all the time, but hey, you're not playing for them, you're playing for yourself, so I mean if you haven't seen them, by all means sit there and watch. The dungeon difficulty is also quite good. They're difficult enough that if you don't do things right, you'll die. You still need to use crowd control to get through them. Boss fights are almost always very unique. Given that this is a sort of a technological universe, you know, they can have turrets, they can have special gear, armor, shields, all that sort of jazz. More often than not, you're getting shot in the face by flamethrowers and trying to dodge electricity, that sort of thing. So they're really good, and they're very varied. The PvP in this game is really good as well, and one of the strong points, although now that we don't have Australian servers and my ping is 226, it is really quite hard to be competitive in PvP, and you're at a considerable disadvantage. So that's not really something I'm going to do this time around. And the game has also implemented Starfighter, which is just like your conventional battlegrounds, capture the flag, that sort of thing. This now has space combat, so where you can jump in a ship and you're in a completely three-dimensional arena. You have to fly around in the different classes of spaceships and blow each other up, completing objectives. That's really, really cool, and I would love to be better at it, but unfortunately, now that our ping is 200, that's just not really going to happen, so that's something I'm staying away from as well. So one of the other things that the game has, which it was pretty badly ragged on when it first came out, were the space battles. So once you get your spaceship, you'll have access to these things, so I'll just get back to my hangar here, and I'll show you, down here. Yeah, and the space battles, they're an on-rails shooter pretty much, so they'll let you jump in your ship, queue into a mission, and then you get to fly around on a set course using your reticle to sort of blow stuff up. Now, people really whinged and bitched about this a lot, saying that they should just be sort of free-moving in an instance, but to be honest, I really like them. They break up the monotony. Like whenever I'm done questing, or whenever I've had enough of a storyline or changing planets, to supplement my XP and make sure that I don't get behind in level, because of the way I am questing at the moment and just doing my storyline, I jump in and do whatever daily space missions there is available, and yeah, they really break up the monotony, give me some free XP, a couple of levels. This is my ship that I fought so hard for. Ain't she a beauty? Based on the Millennium Falcon, as you can tell, but they didn't want to make it a carbon copy. Alright, so jumping in and we'll get into orbit. I always get a kick out of that. So cool. So here we are in orbit in our ship. So the ships do have a complete internal layout. Your companions actually live aboard, so there is questing hubs, and this is another tool that BioWare used to push story along. There's a holo terminal, there's a ship speaker, you can also talk to people on board the ship via that. On here you have a guild bank, you have bank storage. I'll just rock up to the galaxy map here, and I will quickly show you one of these space missions that people hate so much, but I actually quite enjoy. So this is a galaxy map, and you click on here, and this is how you navigate from planet to planet. These points are the planets, so you see here, this is Tython level range 1 to 10, Corellia 47 to 50, so on and so forth. And these little ship icons are actually space battles. So I'll jump into this sector, and I'll show you the service evacuation. Service, Cerberus, whatever. Here we go. Alright, here we are. So we've got our ship interface in the top left with our shield. It's that blue ring. Later on you get 4 modules that you can sort of fit and fill out these slots. Now my mission this time is to escort this green circle. That's the ship that's just escaped an Empire Star Destroyer. And I've basically got to keep him alive. So the more guns I take out of the game, the less damage he'll take and the more chance he has of making it. So the object is to avoid incoming fire, stop him taking and stop taking as much damage as you can yourself. Right click actually locks on and fires 4 missiles at a time. If I'm going to get hit by a lot of bullets or you know, take ramming damage from some oncoming ship, press spacebar and do a barrel roll.
That pilot's crazier than me.
Anyway, like I said, I think these missions are a lot of fun. They're quite hectic, they do get quite hard later on, and they really do showcase the hero engine. I'll be quiet for a few minutes here and I'll let you enjoy the action.
This'll be tricky. They don't know what hit them. Take that.
So you can take out all the modules on these ships, apart from on these larger ships. You take out all their guns, their engines, apart from the last 2 on top, which you'll see once you get this blue ring flashing, it means they can't take any more damage. I'm not sure, but I'm wondering if later on when I get proton torpedoes, if I'll actually be able to blow those out of the sky completely once they're disarmed. Anyway, that's mission done. 26 rockets left. I'm by no means a master at that, and I was a little bit distracted by talking, but yeah, that's the space missions. Quite a bit of fun, good experience as well. So what I find myself doing is going to a planet, doing the 3 or 4 quadrants that the planet's divided up into to get my class story done. And once I'm done with a planet, I do the space missions that are available, which are once a day, which will earn me 2 or 3 levels, and which will put me ahead for the next planet. Jump down, do the class missions, so on and so forth, and just carry on like that. I made this guy about 2 days ago, and playing for sort of 2 full days, I've reached level 30. Now, in saying that I'm only doing the class missions, it's actually no mean feat. There is a lot of content. It still takes quite a lot of time, so I'm not going to burn through this in no time at all, but I'm not going to be questing out entire planets and absolutely sick of the sight of them by the time I hit level 30 like I have been in the past. Especially as Republic, you do your starter planet and then you end up doing Coruscant, which is like a built-up city with 4 sort of indoor corridor type quadrants. And then straight after that you have to go to Nar Shaddaa, which is exactly the same. There's no variety there. On the Empire side, it's not too bad. It's a bit better. You get to do Drummond Casts, which is an open world thing, and it's green and leafy with sort of monsters, which is a lot more varied. Yeah, well, anyway, that about wraps it up for this quick look at Star Wars: The Old Republic, guys. I gotta say, I'm really enjoying it this time around. It's a lot easier than it was in the past to sort of skip through and do what I'm doing. If you are a returning player like myself and you never got it done, or if you're just here brand new and you want to have a crack at Star Wars and see what it's all about, I think now is a really good time to do it. Anyway, I hope this video has been entertaining and showed you what the game's all about. I'll catch you in the next one. Vex out.